what you get.
My name is Zacryx, and what you just saw has been my Minecraft world for the last 7 to 8 months. It's the only Minecraft save I have ever felt completely content with leaving. No projects half done, nothing left to do. For the majority of its existence it's been a single player world, but it wasn't always like that. See, at the genesis of this world there were 3 players, me and my 2 good friends Skeleton and the Thoriac. Later and arguably less important contributors include Ewok88, Malta_Creeper and a friend of Ewok's, Isaac or something like that. I can't remember, sorry not sorry. Anyways, as the weeks went on and the world was still in its infancy, we started playing less and less. Eventually, other games took our focus and the subscription ran out. Minecraft was forgotten. After a while though, quarantine struck and I started playing on the world during online school out of sheer boredom. Sue me. I'll try to remember to give credit where credit is due for the builds I wasn't responsible for. Same with designs for farms and things like that. A world download is available, and for anyone downloading, there's a book with coordinates to different builds in my storage room. I'll also be switching shaders throughout the video for what I think looks the best for where I am. At the switch, the shader's name will be on screen. Now, without further ado, let the tour commence. Starting off with my starter base, then integrated into a small mountain with a waterfall covering the entrance, now an empty shell, I had real difficulties with coming up with a real idea for my base. This part of it, with a transparent glass floor allowing for a clear view of the main area, is only accessible through my ugly starter base. Through here is my fishing farm and the enchanted book storage, which I utilized plenty in the early days of the world. Moving on, we are approaching the first entrance of the base, by water. In the man-made coral reef situated in this lake of the capital of the world, there is a large hole, letting players swim down and pass through a pillar of bubbles hell-bent on making your entrance here a pain in the ass. In front of us now we have a clear view of the main corridor of my base, but before we explore that, we'll have a look at what I originally thought was going to be the center point of the entire base. Built before I even had a beacon and before the world became single player, this room wasn't always intended to be a crossroads between the different parts of my base. Now it houses 2 entrances to it, as well as the way to the rest of my underground builds, such as my chest room. This room and its glass floor with a yin and yang pattern has an obvious theme of dualities, with the ice spike ceiling and the lava spikes floor. This was also the beginning of what would become the theme of my base: different biomes. The place where this theme is the most apparent is the other entrance, a tunnel where, when you travel through it, you pass by different biomes, including snow, desert, jungle, plains, nether and the end. This tunnel began the second theme of the main base. I wanted to be able to fly wherever inside it using elytra, so this is the entrance for flying. This corridor right here is the connecting point for most of the functionality focused parts of the base, inspiration taken from Vesco's survival base. On our left we have my chest room. I designed the shape to have it feel like when you enter the room, the chests appear in front of you as you walk. The glass floor is held up by statues carrying support beams, standing in the nether-like area below. I have a bulk section to the left with a built-in sorting system and a more delicate storage to the right. This area right here is where the items are dropped in for the bulk storage. On the opposite side of the corridor is my automated furnace array. With a dull cave-like roof, I made the paradise-esque floor to lighten up the room by contrast. The 4 chests at the far end of this room are fairly self-explanatory from the items in the item frames. The 2 at the sides for grabbing the smelted items, 1 for the fuel and 1 for what you want cooked. Here it is in action. The next door in the corridor leads to a huge drop down, so I'd be able to build without hitting the ocean above. To the right here we have my nether portal, and to the left our enchanting room. Here there are anvils, my bed, my valuables, and of course the enchanting table. Flying down through the drop we're faced with the last functional room in the base. It has a huge and somehow almost full bulk storage to our left, and my brewing lab to the right. In the middle of the room we have my Ender Dragon egg on a pedestal, as well as in the far back a map of the capital. Also in this corner of the room is my mineshaft with an automatic door, courtesy of Mumbo Jumbo. I have not used it once though. In the second to last room of the base we have my throne room. The throne in the center, designed by Grian, is surrounded by hanging lanterns, and the walls have glass boxes holding villagers for trading on the right side, as well as assorted animals on the left. Behind the throne we have the main attraction of the base, the biggest project I have ever embarked upon in Minecraft. Most shaders are too dark to even handle the sheer size of this place, which is 100 blocks in width and length, as well as 49 in height. For you wondering, I had to mine 500,000 blocks for this room to be possible. The obvious centerpiece Earth, held up by power beams, is surrounded by pieces of black space, where asteroids and occasional spaceships float. Huge wooden pillars hold the roof up, and the corners of the room are detailed with stone statues and the like. The room has been carefully lit up to prevent monsters from spawning by hidden carpet lights in the black concrete, lights behind shulker boxes on the earth, and glowstones scattered throughout. There's no way to prevent slimes from spawning though and ruining my base showcase. Next up, the world's capital city. Starting just outside the forest next to the Elytra entrance, there's a small pathway leading into the core of the city I will be referring to as the capital for this video. This cozy forest path leads through the dimly lit woods to the lighthouse, built by Thoriak but designed by Cross My DNA. Now you may be wondering, has Thoriak built anything original in this world? Well, no. Up the hill and inside we have an early enchanting setup. Across this bridge built by Thoriak and myself, we arrive at the home of Skeleton. Before we go into his house though, the shipwreck I built. Purely an aesthetic detail and fun build, but worth showing anyway. We're now back on Skeleton's hill. Here we have this little farmer's cottage that he shamelessly copied off the internet, designed by the mythical Sausage. This entire hill behind the house is covered in wheat, planted by me. I have no life, I know. Now, this path right here leads down to a small beach built by me and Skeleton, with palm trees, sun chairs, a volleyball net, and a small Hawaii-style bar. Looking up on the mountain above, we see a horse holding a glorious Swedish flag, signed courtesy of the Evil Sketch. Also on this mountain we have Thoriak's, as far as I know, only original creation. His house. He had a terrible looking bridge up to this tunnel up, which I later destroyed while keeping as much of his build as possible in favor of this Elytra solution. While his building skills are not anything to brag about, he definitely had to grind for this view. Inside his house is fairly empty, maybe because I stole all of his stuff, but he has a couple of floors and a basement with a storage room even further down. Now, I guess I've ignored it for too long. I have to show you what many would consider the main attraction, the ship. But before I do, I should probably tell you that we've switched out the entire seafloor to sand in the immediate vicinity at the capital. The change will be really obvious when you take a look at the before and after. Now, the ship was almost entirely, except for some of the sails, built by Skeleton, following a tutorial by Example. Another guy who never builds anything original? Yep. It really does look great though, and really elevates the entire area by a couple of notches in my opinion. From here we can also see the custom coral reef and another smaller boat, as well as some hot air balloons hovering in the sky. Next up, the fishing village. We'll start over here with this windmill. I'm not sure, but I think this was built by Thoriak and Skeleton, and I'm pretty sure they were following a design by Grian. Inside there's a nether portal that can be activated and deactivated by stepping on these two pressure plates. There is no official entrance to the actual village, but I guess I'll start from one side and move towards the other. These street lights light up the night, and furthermore each house has a fully decorated inside. Here's an example. Around the shorelines of the village runs a wooden pathway. Scattered throughout are hay bales from the wheat fields. Behind this house is a pathway leading to the middle of the island, where you're met with a crossroads. If you choose to take the right exit, you will arrive at the Tree of Life, where a book titled In Memoriam holds the names of some late greats. Let's pay our respects and move on. If you were to choose the other exit, you'd come to a barn with a stable and some crops to the right of it. Inside there's not much, just a few sheep chained to the ground. If we go back to the first side of the village, we can navigate to this tunnel, leading us to the other side of the island. This side is pretty much the same, just an extension of the first side. Behind the village we have the very last build in the capital, a kraken next to a village that doesn't give a damn it's there. It was designed by Trixie Blocks and built by Multi Creeper and myself. It's in the process of capsizing a fishing ship. Next, let's take a look at some of the builds that weren't purely aesthetic. Not far from the capital is one of the most important farms in this world, the Iron Farm. Using the design by Avamans, this has given me over 1.5 double chests of iron blocks, and I haven't even AFK'd here. There's also an old villager breeder that stopped working when I turned off mob griefing, and some old houses for villager trading. All of this was built by me, Thoriak and Skeleton. Next up is the slime farm built by that Isaac guy. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it works. It was kind of half built when I took over the world, so I kind of just freestyled the iron golems and item collection system. I also have this squid farm far out in the world. It generates double chests full of ink sacs upon AFKing, so I only had to use it once after spending a lot of time building it. I used the design by Logical Geek Boy. Next on our list is this guardian farm, which I mainly used to get sea lanterns, but I actually took the time to decorate this one with some custom trees, flowery fields and giant flowers. The sign cred to the farm goes to Watts. There's also this Skelly grinder in what was once Ewok 88's base. And I guess while I'm here I can show you the rest of his place. There's this hole down to his mineshaft and portal, and then there's his house over here. Pretty cute, I think. The last few farms are all situated right here in the farm district. The common denominator for all of these farms is how damn ugly they are. There's a flower and seeds farm that uses bone meal over here, and then this huge ugly creeper and spider farm built by Thoriak, which actually gives some good drop rates. This design is by Omango maybe? Not sure. Behind it towers a huge sugarcane farm which has absolute garbage rates, also built by Thoriak, designed by Avamans. He also built an exploit sugarcane farm to the right of it that is now patched. On the back side of the sugarcane farm is Thoriak's bamboo farm. I never used any of the bamboo, but it has some good rates. On to something even more useless, there is a huge cactus farm him and I built. I got several double chests of cactus out of it and maybe used a couple stacks. Time well spent if you ask me. The last farm is actually a favorite of mine. It has been used plenty for its ability to generate endless streams of emerald. This pumpkin and melon farm, designed by Omango, is something I would greatly recommend if you want to farm mending books from the villagers. And that was all of the farms, except for 2 outside of the overworld. And that's where we're going next. So, we're back in the base. Now, we're going to take a look at the Nether and End portions of the world. When we go through the Nether portal, we're faced with a drop down. That's the way to the end. I'll show this later. Behind us we have a large staircase up which leads to the Nether roof. To our right is a piston door out to the wilderness of the Nether. Going up the stairs we arrive at the Nether roof. This is where I have my gold farm, designed by Random Games. Being one of the last things I built in the world, I haven't used it more than a few times, but it is an excellent AFK XP source and provides some good gold generation as well. Now to drop past the Nether portal. Down here is a tunnel with an ice flooring made for quick transportation by boat to the end. Through this portal is a small chunk of the Nether blended in with the overworld terrain, as well as a drop down to the end portal. Well, at the bottom is the portal itself, as well as some trophy dragon heads displayed. In the end, I've basically done nothing except for an Enderman XP farm. It's connected to the main island by this ice path, and that's the end of our tour. We have now reached the end of the video, but before I leave you with some before-after shots of the world and a final cinematic montage, I'd like to thank you for watching. So much of the work I put down into this world was made with a video like this in mind, meaning what you've just viewed has been many hours in the making. Please like, comment and share with your friends. Who knows, with enough support maybe I'll even make more. With that said, this was Zacryx and I'm out. Peace.
I called your name till the fever broke. When I awoke, the moon still hung, the night so black that the darkness hum. Prayed my mind in the woods somewhere.